Okay.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Jumpseat. It's a weekly spotlight bringing you key industry thought leaders, subject matter experts, and next-gen insight into those topics affecting you and your fire departments. It's hosted by two Jumpseat firemen, myself and my cohort in crime here, John Martens. And
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're looking forward to bringing to you guys an occasional look at the past 200 years of history in the fire service and jumping into some areas of tradition, design, and maybe even some of the cool new products that are being manufactured today. John, why don't you take away? Tell them about yourself, maybe a little bit about your background and what brings you here today.
Sure. Thanks, Dave. Yeah, this is exciting to kick this off, and one of our goals is really to just bring, as you said, some interesting folks, subject matter experts, thought leadership in our industry in the Jumpseat once a week. And so I'm excited to be part of it. My background, I've been in the fire service about 12 years in a combination full-time as well as volunteer capacity. So I live in the Midwest, and actually I'm one of the district reps that covers actually 9 states here now. And so get to spend about half my time with departments and the other half the time with some of the distributors, some of the OEMs who build trucks. Have a great job, and I love it. So it's a good time to get this going among all the other things going on in the world. We're using technology, and so it's neat that we can tie this all together and do some neat stuff and bring some newness to what we do every day.
I have to agree with you. The use of technology is great, and who would have thought that we would actually have the opportunity to do this here today, and then be able to bring, not only to a small group of listeners, but really to the fire service as a whole, a great guest that we're going to have on here a little bit later. As John said, he's had some time in the professional firefighting world as well as in the volunteer and combination sides of the business. Similarly, my background is very much alike. Maybe one difference is I grew up in a firefighting household. So 4 generations in my family have been firefighters. It's really a unique opportunity for me to continue down that path. My father's a recently retired chief just a couple years ago. My brother still actively as a professional firefighter to this day. And I spent the first part of my career as a paid firefighter in an industrial fire brigade before moving on to volunteer and currently a combination department here in Central Ohio. I've had the joy of spending the last 19 years within Akron Brass and more recently within the IDEX Fire and Safety family in this amazing industry. And having the opportunity to travel the world, visit fire departments, understand firefighting techniques, tactics, and having even the opportunity to teach and educate along the way as well. So, I'm excited to bring some of my experiences to this platform, and I know you are as well. So just to kind of bring everybody up to speed, this live cast here today, we're going to actually bring to you guys some key topics that we've seen, some happenings in the local fire service, as well as our plan is to have a guest or some kind of spotlight each and every one of these events. We're looking to hold this every Friday afternoon from here for the foreseeable future, specifically now that we're kind of on a limited travel ability and mobility as a whole. So hopefully we can provide some insight to the entire fire industry and other fire service professionals while you're sitting at home or hanging out at the firehouse. Come join us 3 o'clock on Friday afternoons, or you can grab us anytime after that as well. John, I know we've got a couple things just to kind of touch on here to kick off, some recent news this week. I know COVID-19 has been probably a topic on a lot of people's minds, and it seems like every headline for the last 6 weeks has had something to do with the coronavirus. But I think there's some stuff you got to share around the technology related to it.
Yeah, just here recently there was a pretty neat article, and maybe we can link that in afterwards to our blog, but basically it was Columbia University that had discovered and been doing some testing using a narrow wavelength UV light to actually kill bacteria and viruses at a level that was still safe for humans and animals. And so I'm sure it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that at a research level, and And again, it's non-hazardous, which is just awesome. And immediately you think, well, okay, if it works for coughs and colds and potentially even this epidemic, there's just the future is endless in some of the other just health, some of the other topics in health. That where else can this apply and be a benefit to? So I'm excited to see what comes out of that. With bad, there's always, well, usually there's good that comes out of bad or can, and this is one of those things. It's accelerating some of the innovation around that and trying new things that can be effective and applied across the board, across different types of things. So I'm sure there'll be more to come on that, but pretty neat technology.
One of the things that I found interesting in that same article when I was reading it is, that FAR, they call it FAR UVC. So they've been using that UVC technology for years in the medical field to help sterilize and kill viruses and bacteria in hospitals and surgical units and things of that nature. But this new thing that Columbia did discover, this FAR UVC, is actually not harmful in short bursts, I guess, to skins, eyes, and other human conditions and tissues where the straight UVC has had some impact. So I think, this technology is just one example of really many, in my opinion, that are out there that are happening every single day. You put this massive stress on us of the pandemic as a whole. And it really is amazing to me just to see how people can come together to go fight for a common cause and really use ingenuity and technology to kind of set the stage. I think you and I can probably relate to this as being fire service folks, that there's that old age traditional saying of, 80 years of progress impeded by tradition, right? And, this time is a great thing to say that, man, if you really think about it and really challenge yourself to do things better, use technology to your advantage, it really can be a game changer. I'm liking what I'm seeing here with just the speed at which some things are coming around.
Absolutely. Yeah, another quick little blurb that I wanted to bring up that was really neat. And for anybody who hasn't seen it, check it out. But here recently at E1, they put out a new truck that's just recently going into service with O'Fallon, Missouri. And it's a phenomenal truck. Take a look at it. It's got some things on it that you do want to see if you haven't already. Yes,
it's in your backyard, isn't it?
It is.
Right? That's in your backyard.
As soon as they let me out of the home office, where I'll be headed. So I'm excited to go check it out. For anybody who hasn't seen it, check it out. It's on their page, and I'm sure there'll be some more to come on that. We'll probably do some stuff there at some point. So
yeah, I actually saw that all over the media as well. Fire Apparatus Magazine had a little piece on it. I saw it on the Facebook page for E1 and I think maybe even Rev Group as a whole.
Yep.
So it's really some cool stuff in there. And you kind of took it to your backyard. I'm going to take it to my backyard for a minute here too, John. Being in Central Ohio, one of the other things that I found actually just really kind of cool. We hear about all the negative things associated with the coronavirus and COVID-19. There was a Cleveland firefighter. This just happened yesterday. I don't know if it hit the national news as well, but it was definitely local here in Ohio, specifically Northeast Ohio. But a Cleveland firefighter who actually remained anonymous. He actually took his whole stimulus check that he was given by the government, and then worked with a local sports broadcaster who's pretty popular on Twitter. His name's Chris McNeil, but he is utilizing Chris McNeil to distribute $50 each week to somebody truly in need. And so, I think it's a great thing to see, one, that somebody who said, I'm still working, I don't necessarily need the stimulus check as bad as somebody else has given it to him, let alone another brother firefighter, another first responder out there who, unfortunately we see the impacts of the COVID-19 on the folks that we call on every single day, whether it's on an EMS call or a fire call. And so I think it's great that he's using this avenue, remaining anonymous and, giving back to the community and really those who truly are in need.
Yep.
It's just it's some of these stressing times actually bring out the best in many other folks as well. And so I think this is a great example of that.
Those are the headlines we need to hear more of.
I agree 100%. 100%. You know what's actually an interesting thing. I mean, he made a good donation back to the community, and I think this is probably a great time to actually segue into our next segment. And we've got an incredible guest with us here this afternoon, and it's my pleasure to introduce him to you all. But we're going to talk about donations, which is what makes his organization function. And I think we're even give you an opportunity to make donations today as well to that organization. But I want you guys to take a minute as we jump into the jump seat here in the back of the truck and welcome in our guest, retired Chief Ron Siarnicki with the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. For those of you guys who don't know Chief Siarnicki, he's the executive director of the NFFFF, and he is a former fire chief from Maryland's Prince George County Fire and EMS Department. I think he actually still serves as a volunteer, I believe, in the Eastern Shores of Maryland, if that's correct. But I'll let him tell you more about him, the National Fallen Firefighters, and some of the initiatives they've got running, I think, which are really cool and really important in this day and age. So, Ron, welcome. We're glad to have you here today. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and the Fallen Firefighters organization?
Dave and John, thank you for having me on today. And it's really great to be able to be here and talk with you a little bit about the foundation and some of our programs and activities. You mentioned myself. Yes, I started as a volunteer firefighter in Western Pennsylvania and then was hired at Prince George's County. And then when I retired, a matter of fact, I retired just 2 months before 9/11 to go to the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation. So that for me was a baptism by fire into a new organizational role. But I moved to the Eastern Shore of Maryland and belong to the United Communities Volunteer Fire Department, where I'm still serving. I may not be in that jump seat as much as I may be just driving the rig and letting the younger ones handle all that. But if I need to, I'll do my best to keep our community safe, and that's what this is all about.
Well, Ron, we're glad you're able to join us in the jump seats today and give you that opportunity to socialize with a couple firefighter junkies ourselves.
Well, I think we're all a little bit of firefighter junkies, and I was listening to you talk about the technology pieces and some of the old school, and it's just amazing. I do have some old fire trucks, so I'm like everybody else. You got to have some toys along the way. I like to see these new ones. I love what the manufacturers are doing with some of the equipment to help keep our firefighters safer and be able to really serve our community. So that's a great piece as well. It's a pleasure, as I said, to be here to talk about the foundation. For those that may not know, the foundation was created in 1992, and its mission is to honor every firefighter in America that dies in the line of duty, and then to help the families of those fallen firefighters put their lives back together. In addition, after 9/11, with the huge number of firefighters we had to add to the memorial, the foundation board thought it was appropriate that we get involved with preventing line of duty deaths and injuries. And that really was the catalyst for the birth of the Everyone Goes Home program and the 16 firefighter life safety initiatives and all the work that we're doing out there to reduce deaths and injuries and prevent families from having to go through those tragedies. And as that began to grow, we also began to get requests from our brothers and sisters in law enforcement and EMS. And to prevent that mission creep to the foundation, we created an affiliate organization called the First Responder Center of Excellence. And they're taking the fire programs that the NFFF is developing and providing that to law enforcement and EMS responders around the country. And both organizations are doing immediate help. And the other thing is we're doing the long-term support. There's a lot of needs out there, but there's going to be a lot of needs for a long time. For example, we're still working with the FDNY in New York as a result of 9/11. With the firefighters that have World Trade Center disease and the other cancers and illnesses, behavioral health support and intervention. And really that's what it is that we do. Long-term programs, services, scholarships to our fire hero families, to the fire service themselves, to the co-workers in the departments of firefighters that have died in the line of duty. And we do that with a minimal amount of staff, a lot of volunteers, and our last teams and our advocates out there carrying our messages are all doing it because they care and they want to make sure that the foundation's mission is moved forward. And, plans are underway for the 2020 memorial service. Unfortunately, none of us know what October is going to bring relative to social distancing. I'm hoping that large events will still be able to gather. But we've got 55 firefighters that died in 2019 that we need to honor, plus all the ones that have died as a result of cancer. Cancer's been added to our criteria last year, and that's changing the dynamics of those that we honor each year at the National Memorial. And of course, the new issue that we're going to have to deal with is the pandemic, the virus, the COVID-19. And so we know that there's going to need to be some interaction now, and there's going to be some interaction downstream. And so you mentioned fundraising. We have created a COVID fund, and you can reach out at give2nfff.org. And that COVID fund is to help the line of duty death families that have already lost a firefighter and are really struggling because they're so fearful that they're going to lose another family member due to the virus. They've already had that tragedy of losing their firefighter, and God forbid they lose a family member to the disease. So we're trying to help them with some health and wellness programs. We're also helping the first responder communities, both through the foundation and the FRCE, and of course the families of those firefighters. We hear constantly that firefighters are concerned they're bringing home these viruses due to exposures on the job. They're worried about their spouses, their children, their extended family members. And so that's a critical piece that needs some intervention soon. And to do that, we're providing some information to the general public. We have a program called Be a Hero, Save a Hero. We could reduce the occurrences of fires in our country. We'll reduce the exposures and risks firefighters have. We recently put an article out, 9 ways that the American public can keep firefighters safe. It's on our website. It's got some basic tips on how they can be prepared if they need to call 911 and have an emergency, and how they can make a difference in keeping all of public safety safe. And I think the last piece I want to touch on here for a second is we've got to be able to tell all of public safety, and for us, the fire service, that we appreciate, and the American public appreciates what they're doing. So we have a program that we're kicking off called Shine Your Light for Firefighters. May 4th is International Firefighters Day, and that's an event that actually originated in Australia as a result of several firefighters that died in a large fire there. And it's swept across the world as a day to honor what fire service members do. And we want to thank them for what they do. And so we're pushing this International Firefighter Day, and we're asking people to light up a red light on their front porch. You've seen blue lights for cops and green lights for the military. And we need to do the red ones for our fire service community. And there's a lot of information on our website about that, which is firehero.org. And of course, all of our programming is available to anyone that needs it, free of charge. There's no fees or anything at all like that. We're just here trying to do our congressional mandate to help the American Fire Service. And I did hear that you mentioned you're going to be doing an upcoming show from our brothers and sisters to the north in Canada. Well, we have a great relationship with the Canadian Fallen Firefighters Foundation, and I have to tell you that they're doing great work up there. And we partner on a variety of programs and services. And if you could give them a shout out, that would be great too. But for now, firehero.org.
I would say we'll be adding all the links that you mentioned, Ron, to our notes page afterwards on our blog. So we'll make sure everybody sees that and has access to that.
And I think 2 key things there, one is, hey, Ron, if I just heard you talk and I want to donate, I think I got the right website. It's give2nfff.org. So give, the word give, G-I-V-E, to N with 3 F's after it, .org. And John, I think you just flipped it up here, so you'll get the chance to see it on the screen. And then if I want to learn more about this event coming up here on the 4th for lighting up our red lights for the National Firefighter Hero kind of day, that you have that at firehero.org, the Fallen Firefighters website. Ron, I think I've had a chance to interact with you for years and with the organization, and I just want to commend all that you and your team do for the fire service, not just for those active, but really for the families of those impacted by firefighter fatalities. So I think it's a great thing. Keep doing what you're doing. And, I'll continue to support you from my perspective. And I know John's been excited to learn more about the organization as we've talked here the last couple of days. So I just want to say thanks for joining us in the Jump Seat. I'd encourage everybody, all of our listeners out there, all of our followers, go make a donation, help out the National Fallen Firefighters. This week is normally your kickoff, right, for your big fundraising kind of event of the year with traditionally being FDIC. Unfortunately, that's not the case today with the current situation we're all facing. So hopefully we can do our part to help do a little promotion and plug your way, Ron.
Thanks, guys. And you're right. We would be in Indianapolis, and there's a lot of things that aren't going to happen. We're seeing some of our events canceled as well, but we're here, and we're still working. We may not be in our offices like anybody else, but the phones are being answered and the emails are being addressed, and we are here for everyone in the fire service community. So thanks, guys, for having me today.
We appreciate your time. And again, everybody check out the notes. We'll have links to everything he mentioned to see afterwards. And on behalf of all that, I do want to invite everybody that is tuning in today that next Friday we'll be doing the same thing at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll be having we're going to take a little trip to Fort Garry Fire Apparatus up in Canada. So hope you guys can join us there like you did today. And everybody, please have a safe weekend. And again, we appreciate you checking things out. And with all that being said, have a great rest of your day. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.